Welcome to the Back to Your Best Rehab Podcast. Today we have Maddie, who we've been working with for a little while for our ACL. So very excited to get her story out. So welcome, Nat.
Thanks for having me.
So Nat, tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm a mum of 3 kids. So I've got 3 under the age of 7. I play squash professionally. I did, trying to play competitively. I was before my ACL. And I also run my own personal training business.
And how long have you been running the business for?
I've been doing it for the last 3 years. And then it was actually after my ACL last year that I went full in back to myself. And so I've been doing that from home for the last 12 months.
Amazing. And tell us a bit more about your squash career.
So I started playing squash when I was 10. Dad was a tennis player. We moved to a local little town and there was no tennis, so he got into squash. So that's how the squash kind of started. And then I played at just locally, and then went to tournaments and played through school. I made the Australian team when I was 18. So I played over in Poland in 2013 at the World Championships. Then tried professionally, so I got to 100 in the world, which was pretty cool. And then I kind of backed off a little bit, tried to find what I wanted to do with myself, but always kept playing, just local tournaments, local comps. Had 3 kids, but always went back after each child playing. And then the last 6 months before my ACL, I was like, let's go again, like put some training into it, had that time for myself. So I got back on the squash court and I was driving down to Brisbane, so an hour just to train. So that's how I did my knee. So that's how it started and ended.
And goal going forward is to get back up to that level as well?
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah, obviously it's been, nearly 12 months now since I did my ACL. So just the goal was to get back on the court, and it was just to see how my body at the moment was going to handle if I could do that again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, take us back to the moment the ACL happened.
Yeah. So this is actually the second time I've done my ACL. So it was 10 years ago that I did my ACL on my right. And then, nearly 12 months ago now, I redid it on my right side again. So I was actually on the squash court, nearly finished the session. My knee just buckles and I just fall to the ground. At the time, not quite sure, obviously, what was going on until I got some scans, but didn't think it was too serious. Kind of once the swelling went down, it felt quite fine. So, as soon as the scans came back that I did my ACL, I was just, devastated that I'd finally got myself back into training and back into a routine. And then, knowing, because I've been through the journey, like knowing what was ahead was, that was hard to swallow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what goes through your mind? Obviously, it's not that uncommon that people do it twice, but obviously it gives you that different perspective on the second time around. What goes through your mind in that moment of either of the injury or of the actual diagnosis itself?
Yeah, I was just like, as you said, I've done it before, so I know what's ahead, which is hard because obviously the first time you do it, you really don't know what's ahead of you. But I know, that was pretty tough to swallow because I'm, a whole journey ahead of rebuilding myself back up to where I was. And if I could get back up there, because it's not a quick process, like in a year's time, will my body a year older be able to do what I was doing?
Yeah. And what about, I mean, obviously athletically, it's concerning. You can't train, the goals that you had set might not be achieved when you'd like them. What about, being a mum running your business? What kind of thoughts go through your head for the impact that the ACL would have there?
Yeah, well, ACL, anyone that's done an ACL, it's a weird one because after you do your ACL and the swelling goes down, you kind of like in a couple of weeks feel like you're back to normal. So actually 6 weeks after my ACL, I went and ran a half marathon because I was, I was fine. I was training for the Gold Coast half, and I was pretty determined because I knew this is probably going to be my last shot to run again before my surgery. So, built my strength back up, did a few runs. Wasn't the greatest preparation, but I mean, I PB'd my half by 20 minutes the year before with no ACL. So I was pretty happy with that. But even, I guess, moving forward, I'm not jumping on the trampoline with kids. I'm doing handstands and cartwheels, and we live a very active lifestyle. So I guess at the start and even after doing my knee, there was so much that I was, restricted to. But I have an amazing business, amazing clients that, even after my surgery, they got very good at listening with their ears rather than me demonstrating on the ground. So having a great community of ladies that just were happy that I was there to instruct. That really, really helped. And I just found other ways to continue on with mothering and being a PT.
It almost makes you, from a coaching perspective, it almost makes you a better coach when you're injured and you can't actually show the exercises that you'd like to teach. You actually have to word it out and communicate it more effectively. You're forced to kind of use your words better.
Yeah, I've got very good at describing words.
Yeah,
I used to always say, don't look at what I'm doing, but listen to the words.
Listen to what I'm saying. So we've had the injury. Obviously, we've coped pretty well physically from it. How long between injury and surgery?
It was not too bad, actually. I think it was about 3 months, May. Yeah, so I did it end of May, and I had my surgery end of August. So that was a pretty weird time because, as I said, I was running, I was in the gym, felt quite normal. Yeah. Obviously, couldn't go on the squash court. That was just no-go with all the movement. But anything kind of weights-based, I was feeling quite normal. But then some days it would hit and it's just like, what's the point of doing this? Because in another month's time, I'm going to get surgery and I'm going to be back to square one. So that was kind of, that was a weird time between doing it and then, getting the surgery. But I was just so excited to get the surgery done because I don't think I could have waited any longer in that limbo period.
Yeah, it is a weird one for some ACLers who actually have great recovery after injury and then realize you're actually going to go into the surgery and you're actually going to go back quite a few steps and have to start from a lower level than what you've actually gone into the surgery with. Mentally, that plays a bit of a role. I know we have a lot of ACLers and they're really bad after the injury and they just can't wait to have the surgery because then they can actually start doing stuff. They actually can't load and they can't do a huge amount with their level of pain. But some, like yourself, end up in a really weird position where you're like, I'm pretty good, actually. Yeah. And now I've got to do this thing and start.
Then you got to do it and then start all over again. And that's that was hard.
And so being your second ACL on that knee, the first one was a hamstring graft, is that right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, hamstring graft.
Okay, and then the second one, obviously, they've now used the patella.
Yeah.
Yep. And do you feel going through those two that there was much of a difference on your end in regards to pain or dysfunction? Kind of after the surgery?
Yeah, just with the patella, I remember waking up and just feeling that over my kneecap I was just so sore. Like, not that I had, obviously coming from the hamstring last time, didn't feel that at all. I can't bear to look at my knee. If I look at my knee after ACL surgery, I faint. So I can't look at it until I'm home. Otherwise, I'd never leave the hospital.
Yes.
So definitely the pain at the start, and then also learning to adjust that I couldn't put that pressure on the knee for quite some time. Mm-hmm. If that took a bit of time to allow my body to, even just say it's okay to put pressure on that knee, but just the numbness. It was definitely a different feeling.
Yeah. And just for people listening, if you don't know what we're talking about, ACL surgeries, there's a few different ways that we can replace that ACL. The most common is via the hamstring tendon. If, however, you've had the hamstring tendon before, often it will either be the patella tendon, which is the kneecap tendon below the kneecap, sometimes the quadricep tendon above. And it actually does mean that rehab and recovery is overall, it's not too different, but there's certain aspects that we have to develop more quad strength with the patella tendon. And there's a few other considerations we have to look into as well. And so now we've had the surgery. We're we're kind of out and we're looking ahead at that rehab and recovery journey there. Where were you at that point? Were you looking forward to diving in and starting to rebuild everything, or were you, feeling a little bit pessimistic about that?
Yeah, I was excited. I mean, I
Yeah.
moved daily, so I was really looking forward to getting back. I remember getting my friend after maybe 2 weeks. I dropped to about one crutch, and she picked me up, so just so I could go into the gym, get into that environment. So that was nice. That helped. So yeah, I mean, I had an amazing support system that definitely helped with that. So, yeah, look, I was excited, but also knew that I had a long way to go. Even with my exercises, very basic, just even learning how to do a leg lift again, just sitting on the floor. So yeah, kind of the realization of I've got a long journey ahead.
Yeah. Do you think what kind of self-talk do you have during those moments? Obviously, you're an athlete, so you're, very driven, very, exercise and movement orientated. You've got a specific goal that you're aiming to get back to with your squash. Do you typically have that, especially in that early stage, do you typically have that kind of mindset of and positive self-talk, like reinforcing those positive behaviors, or do you tend to have doubts in your mind? What goes on up there at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that I'd get through it. Obviously, doing it, last time I did it, yeah, I got back on the squash court after that. So I knew it was possible, and I knew I was going to get back there. But I guess I'm not very patient. So that was a thing that I had to constantly remind myself of, that it will be, there will come a time where I'll be back on the court. But just not right there. So, I mean, I had my good weeks and I had my bad weeks. I remember going to the gym with my husband one time, and, he's into marathon, high rocks, all of that. So he's doing this workout and he's sweating and he's like here, there and everywhere. And I'm just sitting on the ground, like doing my leg lifts.
Leg extensions.
And he just thought I was still in the warm-up stage. I'm like, no, that was my session.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
so
right.
that was a bit of a, try not to compare. Like I was on my own journey. It was a hard one, I guess, going into a commercial gym and doing rehab exercises, because, everyone's lifting iron and, pumping the weights and running. And I was just kind of sitting there just doing these weird things with the band. And
Absolutely.
but no one knew, like I had to do what was, right for me. So, yeah, I mean, I had my good weeks where each week I developed and was able to do something better or more advanced. But yeah, I mean, some weeks as well, I knew I was only 1 month into, a 12-month journey. There was a long way ahead.
Yeah. Was there ever a point where you didn't feel like you had achieved that goal, or you didn't feel like you were going to get to where you wanted to get to?
Yeah, yes and no. As I said, some days I'd leave my sessions and, I was feeling quite defeated. But I think the further that we went on and the more that I was able to do, we were ticking off milestones each week and adding new exercises in and lifting a little bit more weight. I guess that was the point that I thought, we're getting there slowly.
Yeah. And I think that's the importance of looking for those small wins early on as well, like those little extra degrees of range of motion or a little bit more strength or activation. But finding those small wins, getting back to weight bearing is a big thing, as in like walking is a huge one as well. Did you have any of those kind of key moments along the way that you felt like you were, starting to see good momentum?
Yeah, I mean, even just starting off in the program, starting with the body weight squats and then being able to hold a dumbbell. Now we're onto a bar, and I remember just squatting with a bar, and I was so excited.
Yeah.
So yeah, seeing that and then that progression and that overload, I could see that, my squats started at quite basic, and then, I got to overlifting over my body weight, which was great. So, and same again with running, not being able to run, or just being able to run a little bit, and then I was out running 5K. So it was good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's that kind of linear progression, which is always nice, isn't it? You start partial range, full range, bit of weight, then a barbell, then you're lifting more than your body weight. And it's a nice thing to reflect on, I think. How much of an impact do you feel like this stuff has? I'm kind of coming back to the family and things like that, but as you're early on, you're very kind of disabled in what you can do, obviously. What How much of a mental impact does that have on you? Do you feel like that part, was there a big motivating factor, I guess is what I'm getting at here, to continue and to make sure that you're getting on top of this stuff properly, not just for the squash, but actually for the ability to do what you need to do around the house or with the business?
Yeah, I mean, I've got an awesome support system. Like my family are close. My parents, yeah, yeah. My husband, he's great as well. So having that great support really helped. But yeah, I took a chance to, reflect on myself, and I put my children first, and doing all this stuff and looking after my clients, and it was a realization that I needed to put myself first and do this for me and look after myself as well. Because I mean, if I'm no good, I don't think anyone else is is any good. So I was being selfish in that way too. That I've got to put myself first and look after myself. But having a great support system definitely helped. Even when I got into running and I was coming to the field sessions, I'm a 45-minute drive away, and mum would be over here with the kids before they wake up at 5:45, just so I could come do my run. So it was a team effort, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what my main question was. How important do you feel like having that strong team? Obviously, you got your family team, if I can use that terminology, and then when you come here, you've got us and the coaches and things like that. Do you feel like you could do something like this by yourself, or do you feel like having a team around you, both obviously at home and at a clinic, is beneficial to it all?
Yeah, I mean, as unfortunately I couldn't get to, the gym during the week and seeing the coaches. I did in the early stages to understand what I was doing. So I guess me being in the clinic, not a lot with your coaches, I had to, self-motivate myself and do it here. So I really had to make that. I just couldn't, with work and kids, I couldn't drive, 45 minutes just to come to the programs at the gym there. So that was a big thing, that I had to also have that self-motivation for myself as well. Yeah. But same with my squash coach. I mean, shout out to Brad Hindle. Amazing. Every couple of weeks, give me a call, checking in on me. So just making sure I'm okay. And I'd even just go down and watch. I'd sit there, watch, just so I felt like I was kind of a part of something as well, because it's a lonely journey doing it by yourself. So being a part of something, of a club as well, that definitely helped me.
Absolutely. That's something that we talk about and a lot. If you're part of a team environment, when you've got your ACL injury, you still want to try get down to the field or the court or wherever that community is for you, and just give in different ways. You might not be able to give athletically at that moment, but try be involved, still see familiar faces, see if you can help or assist in the coaching to some degree. We've got a lady who's did her ACL with soccer, and she just stands behind the goals and makes sure she just collects the balls and kind of assists in her little way. But staying in that little community is very, very important. What about having a clear plan? I mean, you've been through this twice now. You obviously had perspective the second time around, but for many people going through ACLs their first time, and it can feel quite you can have a lot of uncertainty around what each stage looks like and what you're trying to achieve in each stage. Do you feel like the clarity on a plan is an important part in going through two now?
Oh, 100%. I mean, 10 years ago, I had my ACL, I had my, 6 visits from the hospital physio. That was it. It was like I was left on my own to work it out. And I mean, even what we've been doing over the last 11 months, I never did that in my first ACL recovery. Right. I think that was just, lack of support from the hospital and, physios when you go through the public system. Also, myself not knowing that was, there's steps and places and there's testing and there's, I think now it's such a different, when I did it the second time, I was like, this can't be right. Like you leave the hospital and they give you a sheet of paper and then like 1 week later, I was like, what do I do after leg lifts? I'm like, this is wild. You go through this surgery that, this major surgery, you can't walk, you get a piece of paper that says leg lifts. And then I remember saying to my husband, like, what do I do now? Like, how am I meant to get back onto this squash court? So that's when I started researching, and that's literally how I found, through Facebook and Googling. I was just Googling ACL, like trying to educate myself better. So that's how I found you, Dan. And I remember walking in, and after our first chat, I signed up straight away. And it was a commitment for me as well, having to drive 40 minutes one way. But I knew I had to do it correctly. If I wanted to get back on that court, and I didn't want to, hopefully, touch wood, never have this issue again with my ACL, I've got to do it the right way. So having that plan in place, the programming, on my phone, it's been such a world of difference. And now I look back and it's already been 11 months. It's just crazy, but doing it properly. And I know, even the running part, we ran when I was right to run, but then obviously I had a few issues running. So we pulled back and we worked on a few things again. So being able to get back on the squash court, it was just, I knew that I'd done the work. So it was great.
Absolutely. We always think the time's going to pass regardless. People often look at it and go, 12 months of rehab or whatever it might be. That 11 months, 12 months is going to fly by. By the time that passes, you'll look back and wish you had done all that hard work. And that you had done it properly and done it once and then never had to worry about it again. So it's always nice when you get to that point, you're like, I've done it. It's done properly. It's done well. You can be more forward looking with it all as well. Do you feel like recovery with this kind of stuff is more physical or mental?
It's been a bit of both, but physical, I was quite used to doing it anyway. It was just more mental in those days that didn't feel like doing it or quite tired, or I've been coaching all morning in the gym. I can only get myself to the gym at 12 o'clock to do my rehab exercises, but I always just kept reminding myself no one else is going to do it for me. So I've got to put that time in to do it for myself as well. Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like it's made you a better athlete?
Oh, 100%. It's wild. It's not just the knee, as we worked out the other day. There's so much behind it as well. Even 11 months down the track, we've been working on my adductors. So it's definitely broken down my body. And then also I can now put that into my coaching business as well. I'm definitely a lot more educated around it now.
Yeah, fantastic. Awesome, Matt. It's such a great story, and your progress has been amazing. It's been so nice to see you back on the court. And I always remember people's first run. Do you remember your first run on the field?
Yeah, I was so happy.
Yeah, it's such a nice, from a coaching perspective, it is such a memorable thing for me because it's such a pivotal point in your recovery, and it kind of really gives you that next mental stage of great, I'm dynamic again, I can move fast again, and you start to realize it becomes much more tangible that you can get back to the sport you want to be able to do. And I still remember our first run out on the oval as well. I think I got a video of it actually. I should probably look into it, but just to see how easy it was for you to get into that run. Might not have felt great, but the fluidity of your running was basically there, which was all that kind of groundwork I think you had put through there, which was, really memorable moment, at least from my end.
Yeah, a lot of people had said, were you scared? But I knew that I'd done the work, so I actually wasn't. So
that's right. I think that's a really good point as well. Through rehab, there's points where you will have to push yourself and step into that next level of kind of mental discomfort. You might not be, mentally ready to take the next physical step there. But if you do your rehab well, it should never be so many steps ahead that you're very nervous. Ideally, you should feel so confident on that next step because you've done the work that it feels almost the organic next step to do, if that makes sense. A lot of ACLers we find will just, if they don't have a good structured program, they get to the running point and they're so fearful. And it's only because they haven't done the single leg work to get there, and they haven't done the hopping and jumping stuff, in anticipation of getting to that running stage. So it's a big leap from doing leg extensions to running, if that's the progression.
Yeah.
But when you've done it really, really well, it should just feel very organic and natural to get into that first run, and it shouldn't feel like a big kind of gap between whatever you were doing in the gym and that as well. So that's obviously a good sign that you achieved that really well. So Nat, if someone listening has just torn their ACL, what would you like them to know? What would you like to tell them?
I've been telling everyone that I'm an ACL advocate now. Just do the proper rehab. Go seek help. I mean, as I said, my last one 10 years ago, I just went through the public system, and you're just left on your own to work it out. So invest in yourself. Look for who's around and who can help you, because it just makes a world of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks so much. We love getting your story out, and obviously can't wait to see you get back to that high level of squash playing. I've no doubt you'll fly up there as well. And again, thanks so much for your time today, Nat.
No worries. Thanks, Dan.
All right.